Hi everybody, it's Patty, Rockstar Mom, and over the past couple of years, many of you have asked on different occasions about me being a vegetarian. So I thought I would just answer some of those questions. If you're interested, stay tuned. Let me start off by reading a comment that I received just a few days ago. And the comment is from Kathy B. And Kathy says, "Hi Patty, I really enjoy your channel. I had an idea of a topic that you could talk about. You have mentioned that you are a vegetarian. I would love to hear about that. Foods you make, how you handle social eating situations out at someone else's house or having guests to your house for meals. Also, my husband is not a vegetarian, and I was wondering if you had tips for that. I hope you like this idea. Best to you and your family, Kathy B." Well, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you just giving me bullet points on how I could do this video. So let me just start off by saying that yes, I am a vegetarian. I am a lacto-vegetarian. That means I eat no meat whatsoever, no fish, chicken, shrimp, seafood, nothing like that. But I do eat eggs and dairy. So I am a lacto-vegetarian. And I have been a lacto-vegetarian now for probably, oh gosh, 18, 20 years, something like that. I tried to stop eating meat many times prior to that. And I would do great. I would go for weeks, months, a year one time, but sort of slid back into the meat eating habits because I really did enjoy meat. Mentioned this to someone I had just met at the time, and she was a vegetarian. And she said, "Listen, Patty, go buy this book." And she said, "I truly believe that when you read this book, you'll know whether or not this is something you want to do, and it'll really help." It was called The Skinny Bitch, and as the two women who wrote the book said in the very beginning, it's not about being skinny and it's not about being a bitch. They named it that to grab attention. It's a little small, inexpensive book. It's maybe 50 or 75 pages long. I started reading it. I read as much as I could read of it in one sitting, which was most of the book. I couldn't read any further. I put the book down, and from that point on, I've never had meat again. It's been very, very, very easy for me after reading that book. I've loaned that book out many times, and finally, the last time I loaned it out, I told the person I loaned it to, just take it, and if you want to pass it on to someone, pass it on, and tell that person to pass it on. Just keep it going. So I have no idea who has that book or how many people it's gone through, but it's one of those things that you read or you see, and it's definitely life-changing. So it was that for me. I am tempted from time to time. If I told you that I was not tempted, I would be lying. It's not very often at all. I go months without thinking about eating meat, but every once in a blue moon I'll see something that just looks good or smells good, and I think, maybe I'll cheat. And then it's almost like I don't have to take another breath. I go to myself, no, I don't think so. It's just been that easy for me once I read that little book. So if this is something that you're serious about, that you think maybe you want to do for whatever reason, I suggest that you look that book up. It's probably on Amazon. Let's get back to Kathy's questions. She says she would love to hear about foods that I make. Well, I'm not a cook. I am a cook, and I can cook, and I am a good cook, but rarely do I cook. My husband is the cook in our household. He grocery shops, he cooks. He pretty much plans the menus, actually. Sometimes I go to the grocery store with him, but he does the bulk of the cooking. When I first met him almost 5 years ago, on our very first date, we met for lunch. And I told him right off the bat, I said, I'm going to tell you something about me that could be a deal breaker. And if it's something that you do have a problem with, or you think you might ever have a problem with, you need to tell me right now, because this is something that I practice, that there is nothing, no one or no thing that can ever make me change my mind about it. And when I told him, he just smiled and said, I think I can deal with that. I think I can handle that. You don't have to worry about it. So, and I can tell you that in those early days, he really struggled. And he asked me a lot about, what do you like to eat? What can you eat? How does it need to be prepared? And what we found, and what I convinced him that he could do, is whatever he's going to make for the meal, just don't cook a meat portion for me. If there are vegetables, just make sure there's not bacon grease or a ham hock or anything like that in it. So that's what he did. He makes a wonderful marinara sauce that is to die for, and he makes up a great big stew pot of it, and we freeze it in individual portions. And when he gets it out to use it, he divides his part out at that point, and he'll ground up some ground beef, and then put the ground beef in his portion and cook it for a few minutes so that the flavors mingle. And then he has that on his pasta or whatever he's having. I have the plain marinara on mine, and it works perfectly. He does chicken enchiladas that are to die for. And the same thing, he gets it up until the point that he puts the chicken in it. And then he'll take mine out and put the chicken in the rest of it, makes my enchiladas without the chicken, cooks them in a separate dish. Perfect. So many, many times, just every day, Monday through Friday, for instance, we have a salad for dinner every night, and almost every single night. And he may have a pork chop, he may have a piece of beef or a piece of chicken, and whatever vegetables that he has on the side is what I'll eat with the salad and the bread if we happen to have bread. So it's just never been a problem with us. I will say that we've been married, we knew each other for a year, we've been married almost 4 years, and he has never one time even indicated that he might want me to eat meat. He's never, as a matter of fact, when we're traveling even, and it's a new place and we're sort of looking for restaurants, he will get online and call ahead to restaurants to see if they have a vegetarian menu. We've even had chefs, or he has had chefs, say, we really don't have that much, but I would love to make something for her. Just if you make the reservation, indicate that she's a vegetarian, and I'll make something special. And they always do, and it's always wonderful. How do you handle social eating situations out at someone else's house or having guests to your house for meals? Okay, good question, Kathy. Social evening eating situations out, I'm assuming that's not a restaurant, but maybe a banquet. Or if it's a banquet, what I always did prior to meeting him and what we do now is we just let whoever it is know that I am a vegetarian and that I need a vegetarian meal. And they always cater to that, always. In fact, I found that I'm never the only vegetarian. There are other people eating the same meal I'm eating, so that's not a problem. We're patrons of the arts here, so before every performance, there is a cocktail hour for the patrons. And there have been a couple of times when whoever catered it it was predominantly meat. Maybe there was a cheese tray, and that would be, or some fruit, and that would be the only thing I could eat. And that's okay. I try to always eat a piece of cheese before I go to something like that, or maybe I'll eat a tablespoon of peanut butter or almond butter, just something so that I have something on my stomach, just in case there's not anything that I can eat. I can, I'm not going to be hungry. I don't think I'm going to starve to death if I didn't prepare for it, and then I didn't eat anything there. Trust me, I wouldn't starve to death. I'd be okay. At someone else's house, Generally speaking, when we're invited, if I'm fairly certain that person doesn't know that I'm a vegetarian, I will casually mention, I hope it's okay. I hope it's not an inconvenience, but I am a vegetarian. And I'll say, but if you're going to have a salad, that would be perfect for me. If you're having salad, that is all I need. And most times there is a salad involved or a baked potato. Something really cute that just happened a few weeks ago. I have a dear friend. We were many 40 years ago, we're very close, and she moved, and we just sort of lost touch. And within the last year or so, we've sort of come back together. And a few weeks ago, we were in the town where they now live, and so I called her to let her know we were going to be there, and would they like to go to dinner with us on Friday night. And they said yes, she and her husband. So they met us for dinner at a restaurant, and at the end of the dinner, we just had the best time. And she said, Patty, I would love to invite you and Jim to dinner tomorrow night. She said, but I don't have a clue what to cook for you. I mean, I just don't have any clue whatsoever. And I said, well, you know what? If I ate meat, what would you serve? And she said, well, I make a pretty mean chicken cacciatore. And I said, oh, okay, what would you serve with it? And she said, well, for sure a salad and maybe a baked potato or a vegetable and bread and dessert. And I said, you know what? You make your chicken cacciatore, I'll have the salad, I'll have the vegetables, or if it's a baked potato, for sure a baked potato. I'll have bread and I'll have dessert, and I'll be as happy as I can be. And she went, oh, okay, I can do that. So we went to their house for dinner, and Jim said the cacciatore was to die for. And I truly loved my salad and baked potato and bread and dessert. So it just works. I think people who are not around vegetarians at all really are confused about it. So, and okay. Having guests to our house for meals, well, that's really easy because, again, my husband will do basically the same thing he does when it's just the two of us. He prepares things that have meat most of the time. Sometimes we have vegetable lasagna, but he'll prepare something that has meat, and I'll just eat everything else. A few months ago, we had two other couples over, and he was going to make steaks on the grill. Salad, baked potato, that type of thing. So we had been to Springfield. There are a couple of restaurants in Springfield that are a little bit different in cuisine from each other, but they're owned by the same person, and the food is just wonderful at both of them. So we sort of switch off when we go to Springfield. But both of them serve an appetizer that is a fried portobello mushroom. It's breaded in flour and egg and panko and then deep fried. But they take the mushrooms about this big and they cut them in narrow strips and then do the battering and do the deep frying, and they serve them to be dipped into horseradish sauce. So it's one of my favorite things ever, anywhere ever. I always get it when we go there. So Jim one day said, you know what, I think I can make that. So he made it, and his is every bit as good as theirs. This particular night, they were having steak, and he made those, and he just made them a little bit early and put them in the oven to stay warm. And it came time to serve dinner, to sit down for dinner, and he pulled those out for me. And it was like everybody was looking over at my plate and going, what is that? And I told them, what it was, and I offered them a piece. They all took a piece, and all four of them said, or the four of them all said, we would have eaten that. I mean, that would have been fine for us. That's delicious. So it's something just, that easy. Okay, my husband is not a vegetarian, and I was wondering if you had tips for that. Well, I told you about usually our dinner meals that, he has the meat, I have everything else. But also, there are many vegetables that are so much better if they have some kind of meat seasoning in them, like beans and turnip greens. And I love those things, but obviously I'm not going to have pork seasoning in them. So we use soy bacon, and I love soy bacon. If you did a blindfold test, trust me, with soy bacon and real bacon fried, you would never know the difference. I promise you, you couldn't tell the difference. They taste the same. So he will, when he's cooking those items that just need some flavoring, he will put 2 or 3 pieces of soy bacon in there, and then sometimes I've noticed that he'll, after it's cooked, when he has his portion, he'll take the bacon out of the soy bacon, but I don't. I eat it because it tastes just like bacon. But that's the only thing. That's we just make it work. If we cook vegetable soup, or he does, sometimes I'll make vegetable soup. We cook it without any meat seasoning, and then he will maybe add some meat, to his when he eats it. Chili, same thing. He'll make vegetarian chili, and then he may brown up some ground beef for his to put in his, and cook his just a little bit longer with the ground beef in it. But it just works. It is just not a problem at all. I think those are the questions that Kathy asked. One of the questions that almost every single person that I meet, when they find out I'm a vegetarian, the one thing they always ask is, well, Patty, how do you get your protein? And it's gotten to the point, I know that question is always coming, and it's gotten to the point that I chuckle inside when I hear it, because I just, I know in my heart of hearts that being a vegetarian and the way I eat, I probably get more protein than they do in a day. In talking with my doctor over the years, I know that for my age and my lifestyle, I need between 50 and 60 grams of protein a day. It's really different for everybody, but I know I need between 50 and 60 grams, somewhere around. If I just get somewhere around in there, I'm good. One thing I do almost every single day is I have a protein shake. I do not have a preference when it comes to protein powder. I use both whey and soy. I just switch them up, whatever I feel like that day. I like the unflavored ones. I like, if anything, vanilla. And that way I can flavor my own. I love to make them with frozen fruit or fresh fruit, but usually a frozen banana. I always put chia seeds and flax seeds, which are loaded with protein in it. Sometimes I put yogurt, Greek yogurt in it, loaded with protein. I could probably get most of my protein in a smoothie if I wanted to. It would be real easy to do. Some days I drink a green drink, where I take a handful of spinach or a handful of kale or something green, with some apples and frozen bananas, and again my chia seeds or flax seeds, and just whip up a green drink. I have the Magic Bullet Pro that absolutely liquefies, and I mean it liquefies. I will throw 2 or 3 small apples in there whole, and I don't even core them, and put maybe a 1/4 cup of water in there, and it is the most delicious apple juice you've ever put in your mouth. It just liquefies it. So it's a little, it's thick. It's not watery. You could make it watery like apple juice if you put more water, but I like the consistency of it in my mouth. I use almond milk, coconut milk. I have one of the Suzanne Summers protein mixes that I save for when I'm really having a craving, but it's her orange sickle protein mix, that when you make that into a smoothie, oh my gosh, it is. If you like orange sickles, you will love it. So I don't have that very often, but I save that for a special treat. So there you go. I hope that I have answered any questions you may have. If you've never thought about being a vegetarian, I think that's fine. If you know beyond a shadow of a doubt this is something you could never do, you know what? That's fine. This is not for everybody. It's a decision that we all have to make for ourselves. It's no one can make this decision for you. I appreciate that my husband doesn't try to change my mind. I would never try to change his mind. Although I've noticed in the past 4 years that he truly is eating less meat. We have a lot more meatless meals than we did in the beginning. And I never say anything about it. I never say, yay, yay, look what you didn't have meat. But that just has to be a decision that he makes for himself. If you have any other questions about being a vegetarian, if I can answer them, I will. Have a great day. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.